everybody. Welcome to the Hallmark Movies podcast. And we're so excited today to bring you one of our favorite Hall stars is here. She's the chief doctor of the Hearties at this time. We have Andrea Brooks here. And thank you so much, Andrea, for coming back. This is your fifth time on Hallmark Movies podcast.
Yay. Hello. Thank you so much for having me again. I can't believe we're at 5.
I know.
Here we are.
Unbelievable. But last time was actually just about a year ago. It's a year and a day.
A year and a day?
A year and a day ago was our last.
We're almost right on schedule.
I know. So how was your 2021? A good year?
How was 2021 was busy. It was very, very busy. There was a lot happening, which I'm very thankful for given the circumstances that we all found ourselves in. So yeah, it was great, busy, lots of work, and not much time for vacation. No one was vacationing in 2021. So
well, hopefully you'll get some rest and relaxation in 2022.
I hope so, and I think so. We're off to a good start. So let's hope that ball keeps rolling in that direction.
Well, I was going to say, now that you're not doing Supergirl, do you have sort of more time, or do you kind of miss having both of the variety of doing both the shows?
Oh, I'll always miss the variety because it was such a gift to be able to play such a chaotic character alongside such a stable, well-mannered character on One Calls the Heart. So that dichotomy was always so fun to play with. But it's nice to be able to relax a little bit because I feel like the past 4 or 5 years have been pretty crazy. So yeah, it's kind of nice to kick back and just enjoy life a little bit and not always be grinding so hard. But yeah, of course, I'll always miss it. Eve Tessmacher will always have a very special place in my heart.
Yeah. Well, at least now, hopefully in 2022, you'll be able to go to like Comic-Cons and stuff like that.
Who knows?
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Starting up kind of slowly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just getting into those, and I went to some super fun conventions. I met so many amazing people, and then world stopped. So let's hope.
I was going to ask, what is the thing you missed the most about Supergirl?
Oh, what is the thing I missed the most? I think just getting the scripts and just reading what Eve Tessmacher was up to personally. That was always so fun because in the superhero universe, you just never know what they're going to throw at you. And she just got so crazy by the end, running around. She was sniping people. She had guns. She was up to no good under Lex. But was she? So there was just a lot of chaos, and it was always really fun reading it and going, oh, I get to do that next week. That'll be fun. So I miss that.
Yeah.
Of course, One Calls the Heart is rewarding in a completely different way, but you generally don't open the script and nothing's mind-blowing. Generally, It's a little bit more even, which is lovely. Just very different.
Yeah. Most exciting as it gets is what happened to poor Jack. I think that's really our most exciting moment on What Calls the Heart.
Absolutely that one. Yeah. That was a surprise. That one, reading that script was a shocker.
Yeah. Did you get to do your own stunts, some of your own stunts for that show?
Yes and no. Obviously they bring in experts for anything super dangerous. Sure. But I got to do my fair share of running around and I really wanted to make sure I knew how to use a gun properly, safely, realistically. So I took myself out to the gun range. There actually used to be there was a gun range very close to the studio where we shot Supergirl. So I was a frequent player over there, learned what I was doing, and then I'd show up on set because I didn't want to look like I didn't know what I was doing. So that was always fun.
You're like, honey, I learned how to use a gun today.
Learn how to use a gun today. Yeah, but I did, especially when I was pregnant. I remember one day they brought in a stunt woman. I had to lift a hatch and lift up this kind of gate, and it wasn't heavy, but I was so pregnant and they were worried. They were like, we just didn't want you to overexert yourself. So they brought in a stunt double to do a tiny little lift for me, which I thought was super sweet. So yeah, it was a bulk of it. The dangerous stuff was all, I always leave that to the professionals, but I got to run around. Cool.
We'd like to take a second from this episode of the podcast to celebrate our sponsor of this episode, and that is the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast?
Do you want an inside scoop into what happens on the podcast?
Do you want early access to episodes and loads of cool perks?
Now is the time to become a patron of Hallmarkies podcast.
By becoming a patron, you get to access our patron Facebook group.
You can request episodes or even be a guest on the podcast.
And most importantly, any patron can join our monthly movie watch-alongs with stars like Paul Campbell, Natalie Hall, and more.
It's as low as $2 a month to join in and become a special part of the Hallmarkies family.
Please consider, and we will love you forever.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
You were actually in 2 rom-coms this year where you got to be the lead.
Yeah.
So that's so exciting.
Actually 3, because
3.
we have one that has not, we don't know the release date of that. But yeah, that's part of why 2021 was so busy, because I did 3 movies back to back to back and then went back to When Calls the Heart. So yeah, 3 fun ones, 2 of which we have all the information for. One's aired,
Right.
one's coming out on March 20th.
Okay. So we have Fishing for Love, which aired on Up Channel. And this filmed in Vancouver Island?
Yes.
Yeah.
A year ago. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It must have been fun with it being such a kind of a classic. It's not a Hallmark movie, but it is kind of a classic Hallmark movie of the girl goes off to the city, comes back to the small town, totally. And her father's there, and you've got the boat and everything. And yeah, it must have been fun to do.
Oh gosh, that was a supremely fun one. I loved working with Spencer Lord, who's the lead on that one. We got along fabulously. It was also earlier on in the COVID days. So shooting back then was a little bit uncertain. We were always worried every day. It was like, oh, if someone gets COVID, we're going to have to shut down. So we always had to contend with that. And luckily that shoot was flawless. No problems in that department. And yeah, we shot on Vancouver Island. It's a small town called Brentwood Bay. And I recommend, if anyone finds themselves on Vancouver Island, you have to check out this little town, because unlike so many Hallmark movies where we shoot all over the place and we try to bring it together to be a small town, this really is a town. And the little places where we ate by the water, those are all real. The little lanes where we went biking. So it really felt like we were having this kind of Hallmark style experience while shooting, which was super fun. And there's this one beautiful lodge there. And we shot the bulk of the movie right around the lodge. So I would literally roll out of bed, take 30 steps, and my hair and makeup department was right next door to me in the hotel. So it was a dream job in that respect.
That's so cool. And you got to work with Gary Chalk, who's like a legend. I mean, he's been in so many. His IMDb is
legendary Canadian actor, Gary Chalk. We had so much fun. He was a fabulous dad. Oh my goodness. I hope that we get to work together again soon, because he's wonderful. He's so fun. He throws you a lot of curveballs while you're working.
Oh yeah.
A really fun actor to play with, because you never know what you're going to get with Gary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then your co-lead is Spencer Lord, like you said, and his role, he was kind of your classic man of many jobs, as we like to say.
Yes, man of many jobs. I love that.
The ultimate contrast to the bad man of business is your small town man of many jobs, who just like knows how to do a little bit of everything and is just like there for the town.
I love that.
The ultimate man with many jobs was Paul Green in Christmas in Angel Falls. In that movie, every single scene he's in, he is doing a different job.
Is he actually?
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought that you had nice chemistry. Is it harder with all of the COVID stuff to kind of build that repertoire, because you're not supposed to be, near, you can't really be as intimate with people. You have to stay, keep your distance and all that.
Yeah, that's a really good question, especially a year ago. We didn't really have rapid tests yet. Things were a little different. And yeah, we had to sign a lot of waivers. Anytime we did anything intimate, if there was kissing, I believe hugging, we were supposed to get extra tests, which I believe we did. So prior to any kissing scene, everything's, regarded safe. And yeah, it is a bit strange, because on set, they'll try to enforce the the 6 foot rule. And yet when you're working together, you're nose to nose trying to fit into your shot. So there is something a little bit funny about that you try to respect. Obviously nobody wants to have their production shut down for not complying with rules. But yeah, it is a little strange where you sit very far apart at lunch and then you sit huddled together in your scenes and then you separate again. Things have changed a little bit. Obviously rapid tests are more readily available. A lot of people have had COVID, so I believe there are a lot of antibodies. Things, we're slowly kind of shifting, but with every new outbreak, there's more protocols that we have to respect, and we just don't want to get shut down.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have The Wedding Fix, and that one is it coming out on Up TV, or do you know if the release is for that?
Wedding Fix is March 20th on Up TV.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen this one. I've seen the other one, but yeah, it's why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. Wedding Fix is a wedding movie. Surprise, surprise. It's directed by the fabulous Canadian director Nicholas Humphreys, whom I adore. And it stars myself and Patch May, who's actually an Australian actor who's been up here in Canada working on lots of little romantic movies. And he's a really funny guy. And we have a movie about a wedding crisis where things start falling apart for the bride and groom. And then lo and behold, it's up to the best man and maid of honor to kind of fix things. And in the process of their bickering and not agreeing upon anything, they kind of, they see if the sparks are flying. Of which are they? Will they? I don't know. It's a romantic movie. What could happen?
I think it'll have a really tragic ending. I'm picturing.
Yeah, curveball. Very tragic ending. No, that movie was a lot of fun. We also shot that in Langley, which is where When Calls the Heart is shot.
Nice.
Addition to many a Hallmark movie, many of these romantic rom-com style movies. And yeah, that was a really fun one. I shot that right before going back to When Calls the Heart to shoot season 9.
Very nice.
Great.
And what was the third one, the third movie that you talked
about? The third
about?
one I shot last, I believe it was April, and it stars myself and Marcus Rossner, who I'm a huge fan of. We've worked together before. We've been married before in a Hallmark movie.
Harvest Wedding.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we've worked on other things. Of course, we were both on When Calls the Heart in season 2, but we missed each other. We never had scenes together or anything. So yeah, this movie, the working title is Sit, Stay, Love. That could change. In fact, I would assume it does, because I'd say more than 50% of the time, the titles of these movies change. They come out and there's something completely different from what we're used to calling them. And it stars Marcus, myself, and a wonderful dog named Nova.
Aww.
Sam.
Yeah. Well, usually they change for the worse, though. I feel like
sometimes
they have like a somewhat clever title, and then they name it like Winter Romance. Like, could you be any
more generic?
A summer love story? I'm like, what?
Like, yeah, that's funny, and that's so true, and that's so beyond our control. You never know. And that's why sometimes it's hard to remember the titles of movies, because the way you remember it is the title that now doesn't exist. Right. So it's like you have to memorize 2 titles.
I'm usually just like the Jen Lilly movie from the winter.
That's amazing. The winter 2021 one, not the 2021. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're excited about all 3, and that's great. It must have been pretty exciting when you got the bump up from supporting to leading.
It was exciting, and I feel like it was a long time coming, and my schedule was just so jam-packed trying to balance roles on 2 series. A lot of projects that came my way that I wasn't able to do over the past few years. So it was really fun. I had this kind of window, and we just filled them with projects, and I loved it.
Yay. That's awesome. So let's talk about When Calls the Heart season 8 first, before we talk about the new season.
Rewind.
So, yeah. So I felt, and I don't know if you'll agree, but I felt like Faith was kind of a little all over the place in season 8. Like, one minute she wanted Carson to leave, the next episode she wanted Carson to stay. And then it was back and forth. And how did you feel did you feel that, or is that just me? And how did you feel about that, about the character being kind of a little insecure?
Scattered. Yeah.
Scattered.
That definitely was the case. I think there's a lot of reasons for that. also, there were a lot of scenes that we shot in season 8 that didn't actually make the final cut. And I'm not super well acquainted with the final versions of anything. I feel like I see the episodes in ADR or the bits and pieces, and my memory's hazy because it also is kind of includes my memory of the script. And then what ends up airing is often not what I remember. So I know that there were some scenes that I think were cut that might have helped to elaborate upon that kind of relationship breakdown that we witnessed in season 8. But yeah, there was a scatterbrained element. There was a bit of a power struggle going on. Obviously, Faith returning from medical school, ready to practice, and that obviously shifting the dynamics quite a bit. So yeah, it was scattered. It was a little bit chaotic, but I mean, so was their relationship at that point.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to unwind something that you've spent a number of seasons building. And I don't know what the answer is to doing that. But yeah, I think it ends up being a little bit chaotic, and
Yeah.
I'm sure that's the way that it kind of read ultimately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, but it did, you're right about it unwinding, because it did kind of make sense when he did leave at the end.
I think so. And it's hard. Like there's an inherent struggle when you're trying to create a scene like that, because you need a reason for things to unwind, but you don't want to be, cruel about telling this story either. But they can't just end things for no reason. You have to explain why it is that they're not seeing eye to eye anymore. So
did they know at the beginning of the season that Paul was going to be leaving?
Season 8, I don't remember what we knew going in. I knew that I personally knew that there was a very good chance that our characters would not be together by the end of the season. But of course, anytime I'm given that type of information early on, I take it with a grain of salt, because you also don't know until you get rolling with the season. Things can shuffle and change so much that I try very hard to never be super married to an idea, because there are twists and turns and conflicts, and they'll bring in new characters, and then they'll see something. So it's tough. I'd say I was pretty sure that our characters would no longer be together, but in terms of professionally speaking, I have no idea what is ever going on with people's personal life,
Sure.
Contracts, and people have new contracts, new offers on other projects. Shows that span for, going on a decade always end up changing quite a bit from season 1 to 9, 10, and 11,
Sure.
just because you can never retain the same cast. So I didn't know about anything, and I didn't know that that Carson would be leaving. All I think I remember knowing is that there was a good chance our characters were going to have quite a bit of conflict, which they did.
So with Elizabeth choosing Lucas, how did you feel about that? And did you have any kind of feeling about Lucas versus Nathan?
This was my strategy for so many seasons. Everyone would say Team Lucas, Team Nathan, and I'd always just swap. I'd be like, today I'm Nathan, today I'm Lucas. I'm friends with both of them. I think They're both such fabulous actors. I like their characters. It honestly wouldn't have mattered either way in my mind, because they're both such wonderful choices. Was I? Yeah, they don't tell us much. We get the scripts, we read them, we start shooting, and I remember it being a surprise, but I thought it was a really good one. I think Chris is fabulous, and I think it offers kind of a new dynamic for Elizabeth. We've seen her with a Mountie. It's kind of fun to see a new older, more mature version of Elizabeth.
That's what I feel, because I'm always Team Good TV. That's
a good team. I might have to steal that. I like that.
And I think that picking Lucas makes more interesting television. Because again, we've already had the Mountie, and I realize they're not the same person, but nevertheless, it's somebody quite different than who she was with before. And so that makes it more interesting, makes her have to grow more as a character. It makes for more interesting storylines. There's more things that you can do. And so I am team. Plus, I always felt like she never actually spent any real time with Nathan. Every time that they were together was almost always with Allie or with other people. Whereas like Lucas, she actually spent time with him. They
Mhm.
actually went on dates. He actually
Developed a
courted her,
connection.
like,
Mhm.
because everybody was like, oh, and I'm like, it makes sense to me. I'd want to be with the person who actually like pursued me and courted me, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That I had never thought of it in those terms, but that makes complete sense. And it kind of goes along with what I mentioned is when a show exists for almost a decade, things are never going to stay the same. They're not going to stay static. And if they did, I don't think people would keep watching. We have to have twists and turns, ups and downs, peaks and valleys, and surprises. And I think that keeps people retained. It keeps people watching. And it's also exciting to be a part of from an acting standpoint.
Yeah. So can you give us any hints of what's ahead for Faith in season 9?
I really like Faith's storyline in season 9. I think we've seen her go through so much. We meet her in season 2 as a very young, impressionable nurse who's dedicated, following in the footsteps of her mother. And then she's always had this. She's academically inclined. She loves helping people. We've seen her grow. We saw her go to med school. We saw her come back, and now she's a full-fledged doctor, standing on her own 2 feet, in charge of the infirmary, all by herself. And that's a really exciting thing to play. The thing I love about the infirmary is it's a place for the entire town to congregate independently. So when you're working as a medical professional in Hope Valley, you get to develop these amazing one-on-one relationships with everybody. And I was so lucky this year. I had amazing scenes with basically the entire cast, I think, more or less. And it's just a really interesting way to grow. I also think there's no therapist in Hope Valley. Obviously, I don't think therapy was a known phenomenon back in the 1910s, 20s. And the doctor ends up playing a little bit of a therapist. Sometimes you don't need to dispense medicine. Sometimes it's words of advice or encouragement. And you get to see she's really growing, developing. She's really adulting this year. And I'm proud of this character. It really was there was some sentimental feelings going into this season, because I just kind of feel like, wow, I was so young when I started the show. And now look at Faith, like she's grown up so much. I guess I've grown. I don't feel like it, but I'm sure I've grown up too. So there was something kind of tugging at my heartstrings a little bit this season, because there were some key moments that felt pretty good. Like it's pretty cool to grow up alongside a character.
That will be really interesting. I'm looking forward to that. I do feel like in these middle seasons, they got kind of focused on the relationships, and we lost some of those individual towns per people's stories that used to get in the earlier seasons. Yes. And I would love for them to kind of go back to that a little bit more, and having sort of your one-offs where you get to meet different people in the town and get to interact with whether it's the children or the I think that would be fun.
Yeah, I think that exists this year. There's a little bit more of a focus on businesses and interesting storylines that aren't just always romance all the time, which I don't know. I think I think it's fun.
Have you all shot the whole season, or you still have more to do?
We're done. I think we finished late November, if I'm not mistaken. Mid to late November is when we wrapped. So we're done. It's complete. It's in the hands of the movie gods now. So we'll see what happens.
Very cool. Well, we're looking forward to it. It's going to be fun. We always have a good time covering the show. So
that's awesome.
Look forward to it. And
we'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, Hearty, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
You've done all of our questionnaires. And so I thought it would be fun to end with, I don't know if you ever heard of the Proust questionnaire. And it's the one that James Lipton used to give in the Actors Studio. It's like these famous sets of questions. So you really get to know somebody. Okay.
Oh my
and
gosh.
I've Hallmarkized it
Okay,
appropriate.
good. I love it.
So, okay. What is your favorite word?
Oh no. Is this rapid? Do I have to? Is
No,
this
you
rapid?
can.
Okay, what's my favorite word?
I
Oh
should have given you this
no.
in advance. I'm sorry.
No, don't worry. I want to give a good answer, but I don't know. I also think something's going to pop into my head and I don't know if that means anything. I don't know. Should I go with my Freudian intuition here?
Yeah, go with your gut.
This is going to sound very weird. I like stupendous.
Ooh, okay.
It's an older word. Nobody uses it anymore, but I like the sounds of it. That was the first one that kind of came to my mind. Stupendous.
Very good. What's your least favorite word?
What's my least favorite word?
A lot of people seems to be moist.
Yeah, moist is not a good one. Actually, moist is not great. I don't hate, it's not a pet peeve word. You know, some people just can't stand it. It's not a pet peeve word, but it's like, it's on the list for sure. I'll take moist for now because I am in agreement.
What is something that turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally? It makes you excited.
Oh, intelligence.
Okay, good.
Absolutely. 100% intelligence. Working with intelligent people, intelligent friends, intelligent actors, who will, intelligence.
Yeah, like somebody giving you the Proust questionnaire, right?
Yes.
Okay, what turns you off?
I mean, obviously disrespect, immensely disrespect. And when someone is not, especially creatively speaking, when someone's not open to your ideas, there are some people who can be very shut off and they only want to, it's their way or the highway. And I love collaboration. So if someone's really shut off, that's also a pretty big creative turnoff.
Yeah, there was this one guy that I used to be in like my circle of friends, and he never had an opinion about anything. And I would just always be like, just say something, like, because when people ask you like, what's your favorite food? They're not like quizzing you. They're just trying to start a conversation.
Totally,
so like,
totally,
you should just have something to say.
Just like come on, let's get us to the next place here.
He was like the ultimate I don't care. And I was just like,
Oh, that's interesting. That's an interesting one.
That would be something for me. I would just like have an opinion.
Have an opinion on anything.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So what sound or noise do you love?
What sound or noise do I love? Oh, I like, so many things, but one that I can think of right now is the sound of the mailbox when the delivery person you hear your mailbox clicking and you're just like, oh, mail's exciting. I mean, generally it's bills. That's not exciting.
That's very nostalgic.
I love snail mail. I love packages. I love surprises. So I'm always, when I hear the mailbox, it makes me excited.
That's cute. I love that. I think like for me, it would probably be like a baby cooing. Like, when they're like really little. That's
adorable.
Okay. What sound or noise do you hate?
Okay. This is going to sound so weird, but I really don't like the sound of pouring, like pouring water or pouring a drink, that like, I don't love that sound. I don't know why I've never liked it.
Yeah.
Like, especially when it's a big glass and someone's taking their time pouring something, it distracts me. I don't know. There's something.
Yeah.
That sounded pouring. Is that weird? I don't know. Has anyone ever given you that answer?
This is the first time I've done the Proust questionnaire.
Oh, that's very cool.
You're the first. Yeah.
I like it.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Oh, I always think it would be really cool to be a detective. Maybe I've just read too many books where people are trying to solve crimes and mysteries.
Well, they need to get you on one of these mystery shows.
I know.
Hallmark.
I've never done anything mysteries related. Why is that?
You got to talk to your friend Julie Gonzalo and get on her show.
I know.
All right. Okay. What profession would you not like to do?
Oh my goodness. Oh, I don't know. I have respect for any profession, anyone who hustles and anyone trying to make a go of it. I have respect for it. But what would I not like? I always think, and this is a very noble job, but I think I'd have trouble with it. People who work at animal shelters.
Yeah.
I think I would be in tears every single day. I have such respect for that job because there's just so many sad stories. But I suppose the upside of that is you get to be a part of the reunification and finding forever homes for animals, and that's amazing. But there are some sad situations in animal shelters that I would find really difficult.
Yeah, that's a good answer. I think it would probably, even though I was a political science major in college, I would probably be a politician because I think it would be so frustrating to be like,
Yeah,
supposedly be able to have power, but so rarely actually be able to do anything.
totally.
And I think
That's a good answer.
it would be incredibly frustrating.
I think that would be frustrating too.
Yeah. All right. Last question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Oh my goodness.
No, it's deep.
I would. Oh, that is deep. But I don't know. Maybe I'd love to hear like a really good song. Is that weird?
That's
Like
a cute
something
answer.
really uplifting, maybe some Spice Girls. I just want something really happy.
Yeah, the Spice Girls.
Some
There
Spice
you go.
Girls.
I love it.
Know.
They'll be there. I mean, come on, right?
Yeah, we'll have a little party.
Yes.
If you
Very
wanna be
good.
my lover.
You did it. You answered all the questions.
Woohoo!
Well, thank you so much for coming and talking with us. It's always a delight to have you every year, and hopefully we'll get to have you even more before the year's over.
I
That's
would
great.
love that. Thank you so much. I can't believe this is our 5th time around. It's
I know.
great.
Crazy.
Where are all the years going? I don't even know.
Yep. Well, if people want to follow you on social media, all that fun stuff, how can they do that?
I am Andrea K. Brooks on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, which I just I've put a few One Calls the Heart compilations up on there. I'll probably throw some more up as the season goes, just because it's a new medium. I'm trying to figure it out. I feel very old when I'm on there. And then I'm also Andrea Brooks Actor is my Facebook page. And yeah, I'm also on Cameo. I don't know. I'm a lot of places these days.
All right, great. Well, make sure y'all are following Andrea, and thanks again for taking the time to talk with us. And yeah, we'll definitely talk again soon. Good luck with everything.
Thanks so much. You too.
Bye, everyone. Bye.